gas.
While dual-wielding two helmets retrieved from previous victims, Aaron Donald knocks the Bengals roster backwards in time in a joint practice on Thursday in Cincinnati. In this alternate timeline, the Bengals decide not to go forward on fourth down in the first quarter. The Falcons and the Seahawks just run the ball. The last Game of Thrones season never happens. I don't invest in crypto, and the world is a much better place because of it. So thank you, Aaron Donald, for opening up a wormhole on top of someone's head, you helmet-swinging psychopath. Welcome to All Gas, All Georgia Sports. We are glad you are here. I have a jam-packed show for you on this Friday, the 26th of August, 2022, and today we're going to talk about a lot. We're going to talk about the Braves demolishing the Pirates, the Rams-Bengals fight, of course. Deion Jones once back in, the tweets of the day in Top 5 Fridays. So on this one, we're going to talk about the top 5 college stars with underwhelming NFL careers. Should be a fun one. So, as always, to start off the show, we're going to give you some trivia, and your trivia question today is, who has the most rushing yards in Atlanta Falcons history? Who has the most rushing yards in Atlanta Falcons history? This is a tough one. I mean, really, if you know this, you are a serious Atlanta Falcons fan. The last few have kind of been like that. The last few trivia questions, it's been a little more obscure. Maybe I'll do an easier one next time. But you know what? Hey, look, maybe I'll just keep them like this, because if you know this, you have bragging rights. It's good. It's awesome. So, yeah, who has the most rushing yards in Atlanta Falcons history? What do you think? We're going to circle back around to that at the end of the show, as always. And to start off, we are going to get into the Braves. Only one game to recap today, and that is the Braves' impressive 14-2 win on Wednesday in Pittsburgh. Now, after the Mets beat the Rockies on Thursday night, we are now 2 games back. That's doable, you know? 2 games back with a lot of baseball left. A lot of baseball left. I mean, really, we got a month left, maybe a month and a half, month and 2 weeks. Plenty of time. And both the Mets and the Braves' schedule eases up here. You know, the Braves are about to go to St. Louis for 3 games. That's going to be tough. That's not easy. And the Mets are currently playing the Rockies at home. So, you know, the advantage goes to the Mets for this next upcoming series, but it sort of balances out because then we have the Rockies, and then the Mets play the Dodgers. And that's for 3 games. So it evens out, the next couple weeks do, or the next week or so does. But then following that, both schedules get pretty easy. So the Braves and Mets, you know, they're both just going to have to stay hot. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't at this point, except for the fact that the Mets blow it like always. So, you know, we're just hoping that history repeats itself. So anyways, in this, well, and we end the season too. The second to last series of this season is against the Mets in Atlanta. So, you know, considering the fact that both of our schedules are relatively the same in terms of difficulty, you know, that last series could potentially be huge. Division deciding. We'll see. So as far as the game on Wednesday in Pittsburgh, the Braves absolutely demolished. They win 14-2, and I'm just going to go through some of these stats here because there's so many stats to report on this, so I tried to pick the notables, but Dansby Swanson goes 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Acuna goes 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored, an RBI, and 2 walks, but he's been getting a lot of walks lately. He's had a game with like 3, maybe 4 walks the other night, but, you know, Acuna, he still doesn't excite me the way that he has in years past, and so he's still just, you know, hasn't been that same guy this year. He's been on and off injured the whole time, coming back from the ACL. I get it. But I really want to see that power and speed come back. A lot of that has been coming back. He has statistically been a lot better this last month. But when you see him getting that many walks, he's seeing the ball well, and I just like that. I like the way that he's working pitchers, and he's making them pitch to him. And he's been like that for a while now, even with maybe the lack of power. He's been getting a lot of walks, and when he's on the base path, it's a game changer because of his speed and of his aggressiveness and how much he'll steal. And I mean, he will get in the pitcher's mind. I was talking to my wife the other day about this because she was going like, well, what are all the signs that they do, and why do the pitchers look back all much? And she was asking a lot of questions about, you know, the chess match that happens when there's a runner on first and just with the manager signing and like, hey, lay down a bunt or giving them the green light on 3-0 or, steal signs or, hit and runs or, there's so many things that happen. And when you have a fast runner on first, it just adds an entirely different element to that chess match that's already happening. And it just increases the tension. It gets in their heads. It's distracting. And it has an effect. You see it in games when you see guys looking back, and constantly trying to check him at first. And then maybe, they lose command on their next pitch. Maybe they kind of get out of sequence. They're not in rhythm as much. I mean, it just does so much to disrupt the game that having the speed that we have on this team is fantastic. And Ronald Acuna is, of course, a big piece to that, obviously. So, anyways, moving on from Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson goes 3 for 5 with 2 runs, 1 walk, and a moonshot grand slam into the water in Pittsburgh. That was incredible. If you guys haven't seen that home run, it was a grand slam, and once again, Matt Olson just goes to the moon. He goes to space, he leaves the planet, and he does it very quickly, and he's actually the 45th person ever to hit a ball in the water in Pittsburgh, and the first Brave to ever do it. And of course, being the only Brave, he does it in dramatic fashion by hitting a grand slam. Good for you, Matt Olson. Well done. You are awesome. Robbie Grossman goes 3 for 5 with 2 runs and an RBI. He had a great day. And Kyle Wright goes 7 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 2 hits allowed in the entire start. So, yeah, Kyle Wright just continues to impress. He's among the league leaders in wins, if not the leader. He's up there, and he has been all year. So Kyle Wright, I'm just so happy for that guy, especially being drafted so high out of Vanderbilt. This was years ago, but he had a lot of hype around him because he was our first-round draft pick. And for like 3 seasons in a row, it was just back and forth to the minors and back and forth. So you think of like the resolve and the work ethic from him that it would take to finally to just stick with it mentally and to trust his stuff, to trust his instincts, to listen to good coaching. I mean, I don't know what all goes into that, but that's years of him surely going through a lot of ups and downs. And so to see him just emerge this year, it's fantastic. Especially, when Mike Soroka comes back. I mean, we got a good young core of pitchers among our young core of hitters. So exciting stuff for the Braves, as always. But another notable stat from this game, this was pretty cool. So O'Neal Cruz, if you guys don't know O'Neal Cruz, I really don't, but I just remember seeing a highlight from him the other night because he got a home run maybe, 3 nights ago or so. And his follow-through on his swing, it looks like he's breaking his own back when he swings the bat. His bat comes all the way back around violently. I mean, he's got just a vicious swing. And I remember thinking that like 2 games ago, seeing his home run, I was like, man, that guy just swings with his chest. You know what I mean? And it was validated on Wednesday because he hit the hardest ball ever recorded in the StatCast era, dating back to 2015. He hit a single off the wall. Hit a single, bounced right to Acuna, so he had no chance to extend it. But it was off the wall. It got there so fast, it left his bat at 122.4 miles per hour. O'Neal Cruz absolutely just blows the cover off that ball. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, really, go and look at the replay or the highlight or whatever. Just type in O'Neal Cruz hardest ball. You'll find it. And I mean, it was just demolished. I mean, home runs are hit at like 99 miles an hour, and he hit it 122.4. Hardest ball ever hit in StatCast, so that's pretty cool. So go Braves. Good job. We're 2 games back. We play St. Louis on Friday night for a 3-game series in St. Louis. Going to be tough. It's a great baseball town. They are a great team, and they've got a lot of good players. So it's going to be a tough place to play. St. Louis is a great baseball town. It's really kind of all they have these days. That and the Blues, I guess. But ever since the Rams left, I'm still kind of surprised that the Rams didn't have more. I mean, they had a really good team there for a while in the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s. From Kurt Warner and The Greatest Show on Turf and the Super Bowl. And then even right after that, who did they have? Was it Mark Bulger, their quarterback? The guy after Kurt Warner? Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. I don't know if that's correct. But anyways, they had a good team for a long time, so I'm surprised that they don't have more of a football culture there. And maybe they do. Maybe they're wicked pissed about the team moving. I'm not sure. I mean, they weren't great the last few years that they were there, and they maybe just didn't bring in any money. I don't know. But anyways, that's besides the point. St. Louis is a great baseball town, so it's going to be a tough series for the Braves, but I think we'll be okay because our schedule, like I said, eases up a bunch following that series. So moving on to headlines that are all over the place right now. The Rams-Bengals fight. So there is a fight that erupted in a joint practice in Cincinnati on Thursday, and it was kind of insane. There's footage of Aaron Donald literally swinging helmets at people and just smacking the top of people's heads. Dangerous stuff, really. I mean, you can't do that, dude. You can't take off a helmet and then just blast somebody. But let's see. This is an article from ESPN.com, and see if there's anything. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Donald declined to comment. It was just a huge brawl. And there's been a lot of fights happen at these joint practices. And, the Falcons just had 3 in 1 week against New York. There were more skirmishes, but, there's just these things happen a lot. And I feel like there's a lot more joint practices happening right now. Last year, we had 1 against Miami. And I feel like every season, there's like 1 week of joint practices. I could be wrong there, but we have another one with the Jaguars right now. And so this is our second of the preseason. So maybe that's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just not paying enough attention to this, but I don't feel like there's this many. But fights happen a lot in this. And it's like, I get it. I mean, you have these guys with pent up competitive energy getting to compete and show off. And you got to remember, these guys are in their prime peacocking years, early to late 20s, physical prime. They're competitive anyways. They're getting gassed up to go and just wreck each other, and it's the first time they've gotten, they're still kind of new to this, to full contact and to just getting to like really get their hands on people. I don't think these are necessarily full contact practices, but still, it's an entire off season of getting gassed up and ready to go. And you get them against each other, they're peacocking, they're wanting to show off, they're wanting to show how good their team is. I get it. It's fantastic. Honestly, I do love it. I do love fights at practice. I think it's awesome because it's like, I get it. You don't want people getting hurt. So that's why Aaron Donald needs to tone it down on this. But aside from that, I don't know, get it out of the way in practice, as opposed to in a game when you could hurt the team. And it's football, fights are going to happen. And I think that it really is it's very true where men kind of just need to fight it out sometimes. Kids, you see it all the time. When I was a kid playing on the playground, you get in a fight with somebody, you start throwing hands, and then afterwards you're cool. You forget whatever happened. So, that is real, and that does extend into adulthood, even if it's not physical fights. Happens all the time with men in the workplace, and sometimes you just got to kind of get it out. But, obviously with the physical game, these things are going to happen, and I kind of love it. Just as a guy, I like seeing it. But, I get it. You don't want this happening. You don't want people getting hurt. So within reason, these things are okay, but not when you're taking off someone's helmet and you are smashing people in the face with it. So I think the big question here is Aaron Donald going to get in trouble? And in an article from Fansided, the short answer is yes. Says, could Aaron Donald get suspended for joint practice brawl? The short answer is yes. However, punishment would have to come from the Rams, not the NFL. The league tasks teams with overseeing the conduct of players at practice, per Tom Pelissero. This could be an interesting case because it was a joint practice and the helmet swinging was directed at opposing players. The NFL might have more room to step in than they would under regular practice circumstances. So that makes sense because, you got more than one team involved at this point. If it's just in-house, then I think, let the teams kind of deal with it. They know the situation better than anyone. They know the context better than anyone. They'll be able to appropriately deal with that. However, there are a couple of instances where players were suspended for actions during practice. Martellus Bennett and Steve Smith. The Panthers suspended Smith for 2 games after breaking a teammate's nose. Dude, he was a beast. And then the Bears suspended Bennett for 6 days, including a preseason game after he slammed rookie receiver Kyle Fuller to the ground during practice. Whatever happened to the guy that wailed on the quarterback for the Jets? Oh, no. You guys know what I'm talking about here. Oh, now I have to look it up because you guys are probably like, it's this guy, idiot. And Smith, that's who it was, Geno Smith. Sorry if there's a little skip there in the recording. I had some technical difficulties, but I did find this actually. So, Geno Smith got his jaw broken by a linebacker on the Jets, and it was over a dispute of like $600. But that linebacker was, I can't pronounce his last name, NM Kapali, something like that. He was released immediately afterwards, so there were certainly repercussions there for breaking the quarterback's jaw. Yeah, you can't do that. So, anyways, let's see where I'm at here. I got a little spun up from those technical difficulties, but that was really all I had to say about that. The Rams-Bengals, huge fight, big story. Aaron Donald especially being in the middle of that, dual-wielding two different Bengals helmets. I don't know how he got those helmets, but he found them somehow, and then he ended up using them as weapons. And then Adam Schefter, when he was asked about it, they were like, what happened? And he just said, assault. That's what happened. And yeah, I guess that's a pretty accurate way to describe that. So moving on to some tweets that I've saved. I'm going to run through these. Got some good stuff for you here. And okay, there's a video of Will Muschamp, the defensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs, and all I'm going to say is just go look at it because he's drawing up a play. It looks like it's a halftime speech, and he's going over some like diagrams. He's diagnosing some defensive kind of schemes. And then in the middle of it, he just punches the whiteboard and starts screaming as loud as he can, telling everyone to do their job. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. There's like, Kirby Smart has got some great ones too. Just halftime speeches when he just gets just really jacked out of nowhere. They all kind of seem to have this thing where like they get really fired up and it like scares you. It like comes out of nowhere where you're listening to him. You're like, yeah, I'm with you. And then he starts screaming in your face at the top of their lungs. It's fantastic. So Chris Russo on First Take today made some headlines because he was basically saying that Nick Saban was not the best college coach of all time. And he goes on to reference, and this is a article from SaturdayDownSouth.com, and Chris Russo, otherwise known as First Take's Mad Dog, had quite the take following the news of Nick Saban's contract extension through the 2030 season. Mad Dog said Saban was not the greatest college football coach of all time, much to the dismay of Stephen A. Smith. That was actually really funny. Stephen A. freaked out and just started blasting him, appropriately so, because Mad Dog's argument stemmed around Alabama already being a powerhouse when Saban took over in 2007. No, they weren't. They were not. I mean, they had some good seasons, I guess. They were okay, but they were nowhere close to what they were when he took over. That's a ridiculous argument. And then he eventually noted and named Notre Dame legend Ara Parashkan as the greatest coach of all time. I know he's an older guy. Sorry for blowing that. True college football fans will know who that is. But even, I've seen some comparisons to that Notre Dame coach, and he's not even like the third or fourth most winningest coach in Notre Dame history. He was great. He won a couple of national titles, but Nick Saban won, 7. So, yeah, that's a ridiculous take. So, anyways, thought that was save-worthy. Here's something from Grant McCauley. All-star William Contreras has 17 home runs and 238 at-bats. That's a home run for every 14 at-bats. Over 600 at-bats, that's a 43 home run pace. So he's doing really good. We don't see him as often because we have 2 all-star catchers, literally. But if he had started all year, that would be his on-pace season total would be 43 home runs. Unbelievable. He's really emerged this year. Glad for him. So here's something that's a little interesting. So Dansby Swanson contract talks are underway and negotiations are happening with Atlanta. And his comments around this sound eerily familiar. Now, he has the same representation that Freddie Freeman had when Freddie Freeman was negotiating with the Braves. So, quote from Swanson, this is from sportstalkatl.com. He says, the easiest way I can say it is, from the conversations we've had, they want me here, and this is my home. I want to be here. One would think that would lead to a deal, right? But we've seen crazy things happen before. I've really gotten to a point of just surrendering that over. This is my home, but wherever the good Lord is going to put me is where I'm supposed to be. I've come to terms with that. So interesting things said by Dansby Swanson there, and what's also interesting is the fact that we have Vaughn Grissom, who's a shortstop. So very odd timing there, and I'm a big Dansby fan, but what are the Braves thinking here? I mean, from just strictly a financial standpoint, you can go, okay, we have this rising star in Vaughn Grissom, who's already proven to be really good just in 2 weeks. Now, I know it's only 2 weeks, granted, but he's been a star for those 2 weeks. So you've got that going for you. Dansby Swanson's going to be wanting a lot of money, deservedly so, especially after this year. But it just seems weird to think that a different shortstop will be playing for the Atlanta Braves, because Dansby Swanson has absolutely established himself as kind of like I'm not going to go as far as to say Jeter yet, but like that sort of caricature of a sports team, a sports just a like a face of the city kind of guy. You know what I mean? And Swanson is becoming that, and he has been for a while. He's a good dude. I like Dansby Swanson, and he's playing an amazing baseball right now. Defensively, he's great. He's fast as hell. His bat has come alive this year in a way that I think we've been waiting to happen for a long time. And it took him a while to emerge like this, because if it was, after last season, now granted, he was huge in the playoffs and he's always been clutch. I'll give Dansby Swanson that. He's been clutch for a long time. And so, you kind of go, okay, but if you look at statistically how he's been over the last few years, what kind of money is he going to be asking for? What's he worth? And with Vaughn Grissom coming up, is that going to affect how they negotiate things? I'm sure it will. Because Vaughn Grissom's younger, and so far he's just been playing lights out. So I don't know what's going to happen with Dansby Swanson. A lot of people are expecting this to drag out to the end of the season, kind of like it did with Freddie Freeman last year. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but keep your eye on that, because a lot can happen, as we've seen. So the next one here is from Wise Dog. This is just, he just says it's single-digit days until the Dogs open up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and that's right. And when you're hearing this, it'll be 8 days until we see the Georgia Bulldogs face off against the University of Oregon at Mercedes-Benz Stadium to open up the season. Let's go. So speaking of Vaughn Grissom, next one here from Barrett Saley. He said, put Vaughn Grissom in the Atlanta Braves Hall of Fame right now. So the reason why he says that is because in an interview with MLB.com, maybe, Vaughn Grissom was talking about how when he was getting drafted in 2019, he got drafted in the 11th round by the Braves. However, his quote from this interview said, "I thought I was going to be a Met, which would have been terrible." Vaughn Grissom straight up comes out and says it. He says, yeah, back in 2019, I'm looking at the board. I'm wondering when I'm going to go. I see the New York Mets, and I say, oh, God. So, you know what? It's correct. That's the correct take. That's the correct thought process to have when thinking that the New York Mets are going to draft you. And Vaughn Grissom just comes out and says it. He's like, yeah, if I would have been a Met, that would have sucked. So, man, you know what? I love you for that. That's fantastic. So, yeah, another reason to love the kid. And the next tweet that I have, and the last one, is just something from MLB, and it has been 10 years since Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown. Will Goldie be next? So Paul Goldschmidt. So check this out. Here is where he stands in the Triple Crown race. So he's having a monster season. He's batting .335. That's the best. Number one in that category. He has 31 home runs. He's tied for second with Austin Riley, actually, and 3 home runs behind the leader in the National League. And he has 100 RBIs. And he is second place, 2 RBIs behind the leader in the National League. So Paul Goldschmidt, first place in batting average, second place in home runs and RBIs, and he's not far in second place in those 2 categories. So he's having a monster year. He is absolutely making a run for the Triple Crown, and it's within reach. If he keeps this up for the rest of the year, for the next month and a half, we very well might be seeing the next Triple Crown winner, and that's a rare thing to do. That's something that kind of puts you on, like Hall of Fame status. That's so. Could you imagine doing that? I mean, how hard is that? I mean, not many guys have done it. Miguel Cabrera, when he done it, it was a huge, huge deal. So not many people are talking about this. I don't feel like I see or hear a lot of Paul Goldschmidt stuff going around, but he is, at least from my perspective, silently having one of the best seasons ever, if he can pull that off. Even if he gets close, still going to be considered a season like that, as it should be. So good job, Paul Goldschmidt. Hopefully he cools down over the weekend while we are in St. Louis, but I am excited to watch him. I'm not going to lie. So Moving on, Deion Jones, first practice back this year with Atlanta, rehabbing from a shoulder surgery that he had in the offseason, and he looks to be ready for the season. There have been rumors of him being traded, and he claims he never had doubts about returning. He always thought he was going to come back, and he just trusted that Coach Smith would have called him if something was up. So good answer there by Deion Jones. It's no shocker to people that he has been on the trade block, I guess, or in discussions. And, he just hasn't been as good the past few years. He was a beast when he was a rookie, and a couple years following that, people were talking about him as being one of the best linebackers in the league, or at least emerging as one of those guys. After he had that pick against Drew Brees in that game against the Saints, in that color rush game, one of the best games ever. But Matt Ryan was like, you guys are going to be hearing Deion Jones' name for a long time. And it had seemed like that, because that was his second year in the league, and he was just fast, strong, he hit hard, he covered well, he had it all. And he's kind of just dropped off. So anyways, the story here from the Falcoholic, this is a tweet from Jeff Schultz. It says, the Falcons have failed in attempts at this point to trade linebacker Deion Jones, but have decided not to cut him. A source said, believing he won't be a distraction to the team and salary cap savings are minimal. The team continues to monitor Jones' attitude and rehab from shoulder surgery. So he's really on the hot seat. Something like that. I mean, he says a source said, this is Jeff Schultz, interpretation of it, but saying the team isn't cutting him because they're like, he's not going to be a distraction. That's not going to cost us that much money. Just keep him around, see what he does. That's got to do something to you as an athlete. Get mad. Really, that's kind of a bummer. That means that they're just kind of hanging on to you because it's like, you don't suck, but we were looking to deal you. And I think they were. So, and they were unsuccessful in doing so. So interesting there. Would love to see him back to form. That'd be great because he was really exciting to watch there for a while and just hasn't been. So hopefully he comes back strong. So we're going to get into Top 5 Friday here. Top 5 college stars with an underwhelming NFL career. So before I get started, a couple things I need to give you on the front end. First off, I'm going to source pretty much all of my stats that I'm going to give you guys from Wikipedia. That's just the best way to look at accolades, look at stats, look at kind of quick things, because really, you guys are going to know these people. At least you should. Also, in the same breath, this is my list, kind of like with a lot of these lists. Now, I know that depending on how old you are, you might look at this list differently. I would love to hear what your list would be, so please email me, talkingallgas@gmail.com. That's talkingallgas@gmail.com. Also, follow us on TikTok, at All Georgia Sports, at All GA Sports, All Gas. We are blowing up on TikTok. It's fantastic. DJ Whisper, thank you for all of the help editing our videos and getting that out for everybody to see. It's been a lot of fun seeing that take off because it's happened very quickly. So it's just been a lot of fun. So get in on that. But this is my list. This is from my experience. And, some of the older guys, I'm sure there were some guys in the 80s or 70s maybe that could and should have made this list, but I just don't know them. Actually, there's someone immediately that I just thought about that I didn't put on this list for that reason, because I didn't watch him. God, I'm an idiot. So I'm going to go ahead and just come out and say it. Notable mentions to Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker. And both those guys actually had good careers at different points, but I think based on how they were in college, a lot of people would consider it to be underwhelming. Now, granted, Herschel Walker, a weird situation, getting drafted to that other league, didn't work out, came and played for the Cowboys. He was still good. And then Bo Jackson, obviously getting hurt against the Bengals when he was playing for the Raiders. He was just an absolute freak of nature. But those guys I didn't get to see with my own eyes, and I'm really bummed about that. They were before my time. So there's going to be a number of guys that I think you guys would probably have on this list, but I'm going to give you my list. This is my list of top 5 college stars with underwhelming careers. So, number 5, I actually coupled these two people together, Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf. So this isn't necessarily a bust list, but they just have to be on here because they are widely considered by pretty much everyone to be the biggest NFL busts in history. So Jamarcus Russell, he's the guy that I saw. I didn't see Ryan Leaf. I just know the story that you just kind of had to throw him on here. So I'm going to start them at number 5, but Jamarcus Russell, I just remember the only reason why he isn't like number 1 for me is because when I think of like college stars, I don't remember Jamarcus Russell being the star that these other guys were. I just remember him having a lot of hype coming out of college because he was just such a physical specimen. He was so big. There was a video of him throwing like 75 yards from a knee, you know, before the draft, I think. And he just, he was really good. But yeah, he's number 5 on this because some of these guys I'm about to list actually statistically had a lot better collegiate careers. So number 4, this is a little biased for me because I'm a Georgia fan, so you guys will, probably relate to me on this one. But Aaron Murray is number 4 on this list because, he had the most touchdowns and yards ever by an SEC quarterback. He holds those 2 SEC records, touchdowns and yards. So remember watching him, he would just tear defenses up. He'd have 300-yard games, 400-yard games. You'd see his stats at the end of a game, and he was just an absolute monster. He operated well. He was accurate. He had a lot of zip on his passes. He was just a really good college quarterback, and he led a team that I think would have won the national championship had they beat Alabama in that dreaded 2012 game. But he was battling Alabama that year, and they went on to win it all. But that was that really was the national championship in 2012. Was the SEC championship because Alabama went on to steamroll Notre Dame in the national championship after that. But Aaron Murray, yeah, didn't pan out for him in the NFL. He was a smaller guy; it just didn't really work. You never know with these things. But with how good he was in college, I was a little shocked to see that. I thought he was at least going to get more of a shot, but he just never did. And he wasn't drafted very high. And, there are things that NFL guys look for. And, it's kind of like you think about Stetson Bennett. Like, what's life going to look like for him post-college? What are NFL teams going to be? How are they going to view him? I don't know. Probably not the same. I can go ahead and, spoiler alert, Bryce Young's probably going to be looked at a little bit better than Stetson Bennett. So it is what it is. I don't know. I get it. But maybe he goes off this year and he changes the entire, narrative. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised based on his story and based on his pictures. Have you guys seen Stetson Bennett? The dude looks jacked. He's got this fade. He's looking like he's fresh out of boot camp, and he's just jacked. His arms have grown 3 sizes. It's crazy. Look at some pictures of Stetson Bennett right now. He did something in the offseason and just got big, and it's pretty cool. So who knows? Maybe he is just going to reinvent himself this year even more so. Hard to do that after you win a national championship, but he certainly looks different. So he hasn't been sitting around doing nothing. So anyways, I'm getting in the weeds here. Aaron Murray's number 4 for me. Number 3 is Matt Leinart. Remember Matt Leinart? Heisman Trophy winner in 2004, among other accolades, and led one of the most explosive college teams of the 2000s. He was the 10th overall pick after returning for his senior season, and funny enough, he was the projected number 1 overall pick after his junior year. So comes back for his senior year, probably wanted to win a natty, and fell in the draft. But he went 10th overall. He was considered to be, he was really good. He led one of the most potent and exciting college teams I've ever seen. Him and Reggie Bush, just those two alone. I think the Heisman Trophy, it was like he won it one year and then Reggie won it a different year. It was just a really fun team to watch. So him coming out of the college, a lot of people were really hyped with him, and I don't blame them. A lefty, accurate guy, and just seemed to operate well in every situation that he was in. So, yeah, but it never panned out for him in the NFL. He did set an NFL rookie for 405 passing yards in a game against that. That was against the Vikings. But, his rookie year, I think he went 4-7. He wasn't horrible, but he had injuries. He got injured, and then he ended up sitting behind Kurt Warner for a while, and he just never elevated to that QB that people were expecting him to be. He went on to play after the Cardinals, went on to play for the Texans, the Raiders, and the Bills, and then he eventually got released in 2013. But Matt Leinart, for someone who was so good in college, surprising that it didn't work out for him. This one was really surprising to me, although it makes sense after doing some more research, but this is absolutely my number 2, and this is Jason White, Oklahoma quarterback. This guy was an absolute beast. Do you guys remember him? He won the Heisman Trophy in 2003 after throwing 40 touchdowns and 8 picks, and he was a Heisman finalist the next year, so he wasn't a flash-in-the-pan guy. It was like 4 years in a row where he was just, Oklahoma was good. I mean, really good. But he never won the national championship, and they were always in. I mean, I think that he went to two and lost two, I believe. And yeah, he lost two national championships in '04 and '05. Adrian Peterson was on one of those teams, and I think after he won the Heisman Trophy, the next year Adrian Peterson won it. Or no, did he win it? Did Adrian Peterson win it? Oh my God, I can't remember. Ooh, sorry guys, but still, he was an absolute dog. He was so good, and just threw it all over the place. 40 touchdowns in that '03 season, but he was just he never got selected in the NFL draft. Now he had two completely like reconstructed knees, so his knees were weak. He was not very mobile. He couldn't move around, but he just sat in the pocket and just dropped dimes all over the place and just tore shit up for Oklahoma for like 4 years. But he was never selected in the '05 draft, and reportedly a number of teams were reluctant to select him due to his history of knee injuries. He didn't even receive a tryout from any NFL team in the first several weeks of post-draft free agency. He became the only Heisman Trophy winner to be unsuccessful in an attempt to play professional football, and just the third Heisman Trophy winner not to be drafted in the NFL. And the only other two were Pete Dawkins and Charlie Ward. And Pete Dawkins chose the military instead of the NFL, and Charlie Ward chose a career in the NBA. So those two guys had these like other specific reasons, but he's the only, aside from those two guys, the only Heisman Trophy winner not to be drafted. How crazy is that? Think about, like, he just fell off. And every single year it was Jason White in Oklahoma. He was up there with USC. He was up there with, were those the Tebow years? They may have been. But maybe they were just before Tebow. But yeah, it was like USC and Oklahoma for a while. And then Texas came in there at a point. You know, you had some exciting teams, you know, some exciting SEC teams throughout those years. But, man, Jason White, he was really good. So, number one on this list with top 5 college stars with underwhelming careers, and this is a no-brainer for me, simply because of how good he was in college. And you could say the same thing, I think, about Herschel Walker, but Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is number one for me. When I think of the best college football players of all time, I think Tim Tebow and Herschel Walker, as many people do. And you know, like I said before, Herschel Walker wasn't on this list. Now, he wasn't a total bust in the NFL, kind of some weird circumstances that happened. And, you know, Tebow wasn't a bust in the NFL either. He had that 1 year with Denver. I'm comparing these two guys now. I don't know why. I'm getting in the weeds. But Herschel Walker's another thing. Tim Tebow is number one. Tim Tebow was an absolute beast in college. Anyone who remembers him playing, he really was a game changer. So get this, some accolades for him. He was a Heisman Trophy winner and a 3-time Heisman Trophy finalist. 3-time finalist. Won it once, finalist 3 times. 2-time national champion. And let's just take a look at some other accolades here, just for fun. He was in '06 the SEC All-Freshman team. Okay, so there you go. Freshman year, he did good, made the all-freshman team. In '07, he was the Heisman Trophy winner. He was the Sporting News Player of the Year, first-team academic All-American, Manning Award finalist, Rivals.com National Offensive Player of the Year, SEC Offensive Player of the Year, first-team All-SEC, ESPY for Best Male College Athlete. And then in '08, he was first-team All-American, ESPY for Best Male College Athlete again, Heisman Trophy finalist, SEC Championship Game Most Valuable Player, okay, of course. In '09, he was the Heisman Trophy finalist yet again. He was just legit. I mean, like, he was a Sports Illustrated College Football Player of the Decade. I mean, it just makes sense. He would just run people over. He would throw, he would run, but he had this intensity. And of course, when I think of Tim Tebow, I think of the speech. And so let's just relive this for a bit. So in '07, Florida was expected to be really, really good. Obviously, they were coming off a great year. He was a sophomore. And this was, let me see this. This was following, okay, this was in '08, following the '07 season when Tim Tebow won the Heisman. And in that year, they lost to Ole Miss, 31-30. And national title hopes were, of course, immediately lost. You know how college football fans go. You have one loss, and all of a sudden, the world's ending. So in a press conference following that early season loss, Tim Tebow said this: "I just want to say one thing to the fans and everybody in Gator Nation. I'm sorry, extremely sorry. We are hoping for an undefeated season. That was my goal. It's something Florida has never done here. But I promise you one thing, a lot of good will come out of this. You have never seen a player in the entire country play as hard as I will play the rest of the season, and you will never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody the rest of the season. You'll never see a team play harder than we will the rest of the season. God bless." Drops the mic, walks out. As a Georgia fan, seeing that, I just shit my pants right away. I was like, oh crap, because it was just so intense, and it was so like epic the way that he kind of just dropped the mic after that. And you could see it in his eyes, his face. He was like I didn't know if he was about to start crying or screaming. He just grabbed the world. And so here, anyways, you get it. What followed that was they went on to beat the number 4 LSU Tigers by 30 points, the number 8 Georgia Bulldogs by 39 points, the number 24 South Carolina Gamecocks by 50 points, the number 23 Florida State Seminoles by 30 points, and they knocked off Nick Saban and the top-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide in the SEC Championship game 31-20, and then he steamrolled the Oklahoma Sooners in the national championship, where and that team was led by the '08 Heisman winner Sam Bradford. So yeah, what an epic college career Tim Tebow had. I think one of the most entertaining things that I've ever witnessed as a college football fan was Tim Tebow at the Florida Gators. And I hate saying that because he played for Florida, but it's just true. Anybody who was there, who saw it, who remembers the energy that he brought to every game, it was like, dude, he was psycho. He was crazy. I mean, I wouldn't want to tackle him. It was nuts. So anyways, he's my number one. Great stuff there. So let me know what you guys think about that list. If you disagree, if you agree, somewhere in between, who knows? We'll see. So to cap off the show here, I'm going to revisit our trivia question from the beginning. And the trivia question was, if you remember, who is the Atlanta Falcons' all-time rushing leader? Who has the most rushing yards in Atlanta Falcons history? I said at the beginning, if you know this, you're awesome, you're legit. And the answer is Gerald Riggs. Played from 1982 to 1988, has 6,631 rushing yards for the Atlanta Falcons. Gerald Riggs. And in second place, fun fact here, is Michael Turner with 6,081 yards. And kind of cool, actually. Michael Turner, he had 600 less yards, about 550 actually, less yards than Gerald Riggs. But he played 2 years less than Riggs, so who knows what Michael Turner would have done if he came here sooner than he did. Because remember, we got him after he had backed up LaDainian Tomlinson for a couple of years. And it was great in San Diego, so we got him. But, hey, if we had gotten him sooner, he absolutely would have beaten that record and been the top spot. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I appreciate you stopping by as always. And it's Friday. Enjoy yourself. It's the weekend. The weekend's coming in hot. You're about to have 2 full days where you can sit back, relax, hang out with your family, do some things with your friends, do whatever you want. So to end the week, end it off strong, make someone's day today. So easy to do. Go in and just crush it today. Crush it. End the week by you just go and, you know what? Just destroy everything in your path in the most positive way, of course. And while you're doing that, be nice about it. Give someone a compliment, hold the door open for somebody, help someone with their groceries, I don't know, do something nice. You know what? Here's an idea for you. Here's something that you can do that's good in the world. If you see somebody who just leaves a shopping cart in the middle of a parking space, just take it back. Just on your way into the store, just get that grocery cart, put it back in the store, and then you know what? You've done some good in the world, because people who do that suck. So, yeah. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome weekend. Love you guys. Till next time. See you Monday. Bye.